Tak, já už teď teda předám slovo našemu prvnímu řečníkovi, který k nám přijel z Rakouska. Je to Andreas Hofmeier ze společnosti SAYG.
Thank you for having me here. Now after this nice English lecture, hopefully you will be able to understand me. We have 15 minutes and we have the exciting topic of marketing effectiveness. As you can see, we are talking about money. And traditionally, our industry is all about efficiency, as you know, so making it cheaper. But making it cheaper, after 20 years of making it cheaper, doesn't deliver, actually, at the end of the day. So sometimes it's great to understand what actually delivers and what doesn't, and then what does deliver, make it as cost-effective as possible, cost-efficient as possible. So marketing effectiveness, and if we talk about marketing effectiveness, there is a nice way to enter this topic, and that's this one, the 5 stages of data-driven marketing, humoristic way to enter that, and probably you notice the stages a little bit. So you have denial, the anger, the bargaining, the depression, and the acceptance. So if the model tells me what I want to see anyway, then I accept it, otherwise we conveniently ignore it. Well, maybe that's not the most effective way to address things. So a little bit background to me. I promise you only get, I think, 7 PowerPoint charts, and then we do something exciting together. We try to do a Guinness World Record, the fastest modeling project in history. Bear with me, you shall see. If someone wonders what the company SAYG means, it means steady as you go. The background is we are all passionate about sailing, and steady as you go is actually a command from the skipper to his girl, a boy on the helm. So the boat tacks, if there are some sailors in the room, you will know what I mean. Boat tacks, boat approaches the right course, the skipper would say, steady as you go. And this is what we are doing. We are helping our clients to find and maintain the right course with their marketing and marketing communications activities. And we are dealing with technology. So what we want to do is, of course, marketing and advertising and communication is all about creativity, but we want to marry the creativity with some proper science. And technology is enabling us to do so in a very nice way. I hope you will see. Final credential charts. So we are operating across continental Europe. We have founded the company in 2010. Quite an interesting time to found a company, I can tell you. And for example, in the market here in the Czech Republic and also in Slovakia, we have the pleasure to work with Petra Majerik. Some people in the room, I'm sure, will know Petra. He's a very senior guy, and we are very happy to have him on board. So what we are doing, actually, is we want to measure an impact. So you have your marketing activities, and of course, marketing communication is an important part of marketing activities, not the only one, though, but a very important one. We want to measure an impact. And the impact can be on sales, on profit, on return on investment, you name it. You want to understand, if I do this, what do I get for it? Or do I get nothing for it? Or not enough? Who knows? Okay? And marketing is always a mix. I'll give you an example. You have the creative guys have a new brand campaign, the media agency delivers a great communication plans, the whole thing is on air, sales go up. What will happen? Everyone will sit at the client, and they all will be happy and say, oh, new campaign, see sales going up. Great. The discussion will be slightly interrupted when then the boring salespeople enter the room and say, hold on a second, these are our price promotions and our other promotional activities. It's not only your brand campaign, it's our promotional activities. And that's a problem with marketing. It's always a mix. The mix gets richer by the day. And then you stand there and say, okay, who is getting the kind of laurels? And as we all know, victory has many parents and defeat is an orphan. So if it doesn't go well, no one is guilty, as usual. What we want to do is we answer 3 very basic questions. And all of you in the room, you know, in reality, those are not so easy to answer. Because the first question is, which of our activities actually had a significant impact? Brackets open, and which doesn't? Brackets closed. Number 1 question, already essential. So we understand what's making the fish jump. sorry. Next question. If it has a significant impact, how big is it? Is it small, tiny, medium, major? How big is it? And only if we can understand that it has a significant impact, if we understand what the size is, then we can say, what's the return? And I bet every one of you has spoken about marketing return on investment for some time, and usually everyone understands something different by it. The concept is very simple. You invest 1,000, 1,000,000, whatever, Czech crowns in one activity. You want to understand what you get for it. 1,000, 1,000,000, what is it? And these are very, very basic questions. They have been here forever. So I started in this business in '89. You can see from my gray hair, that's a little while ago. And the question has been on the table forever. And we have developed 200-300 fancy PowerPoint chart decks to disguise the fact that we don't have a clear answer to answer these very straightforward questions. Now, fortunately, times are changing. We can do something about that. And we call that marketing effectiveness analysis. And you should be able to integrate in your analysis whatever you deem relevant. So whether these are media activities or promotional activities or any other marketing activity you're doing, this has to be considered in the analysis, because otherwise it would be incomplete. So that's very important. Then we do some fancy modeling, which you will see in a second what that means. I mean, if some people have done traditional modeling projects in this room, I probably would see, if I could see you, some painful expressions on your faces, because as one of our clients said, they take a long time, they cost a lot of money for a very limited amount of insight. And that's, of course, no longer good enough. We need to be able to change that, and you will see in a second how we do that. But that's just the start of the story, because if you understand what the chemistry is, how the marketing activities are actually working and what the return is, then the next step is the more exciting one. Then you want to apply that knowledge. Then you need to be able to develop plan scenarios, connect those with your models, and get some forecasts. So if you can say, well, if we apply this learning, if we do that in the next quarter or the next year or whatever your planning horizon is, what will be the return? How much do we improve? What can we do with that? Yeah, and I would invite you, don't believe a word I've said. Maintain healthy skepticism, because when I have been told the same story like you have been hearing right now, I didn't believe it, because for so many years, so many people have told me they can do it, and it never worked. Yeah? So we decided with the organizers of this event, you wouldn't believe any PowerPoint charts anyway, so I'm going to show it to you. And let's do the fastest modeling project, marketing mix modeling project in history. And for that purpose, my mouse works, hopefully, we say goodbye to PowerPoint. If someone loves charts, come over to me afterwards. We can drown you in charts, but actually, let's have a look at the real thing. Don't worry if you can't see some details, I'll explain it to you. That's a typical data set. It's a compact one because of time reasons, and I need to watch the clock so I'm not overshooting. But actually, this is an FMCG case from reality. It has been transformed and anonymized. Don't mind the absolute numbers. Those are just examples. Okay, we have some volume sales over 2.25 years, weekly data. We have value sales. We have a price development. We have distribution. We have promotions. And we even have a rebrand project. So from point X onwards, there was a rebrand, so a new packaging design, improved formula, you name it. And we have some TV activities, okay? And outdoor and print and online. Okay. And now I show you some other interesting aspect, if I can catch my mouse. Yeah, here it is somewhere. Yeah. We quickly define data. Just one example, that's TV. So we tell the system it's TV, those are GRPs, so there's a weekly GRPs levels. There's a logic element, so if TV has a significant impact, then naturally it should be positive. It wouldn't harm our sales normally, and it's an advertising type, and we're investing some money on that. So let's assume it's 500,000 euros, dollars, you name it. There are different response curve functions. I don't go into detail here because of time, but the interesting point is we can quickly chart that out. Let me have a look. here is TV. Now you will see better. Okay, and TV has a positive correlation with sales of 55%. Great. What does that tell us? Nothing. I'll tell you why. Not because TV is not good. Don't get me wrong. But let's have a look at online. And online is great as well. I think we all agree that. And those are the online activities. There's classic display. Let's make it a line chart. And the correlation is minus 2%. What does that mean? Nothing. It just means we had online activities in the good weeks and the bad weeks, and therefore the correlation is indifferent. Now, what is better? Where do you invest your money? We don't know. Correlation is a liar and can be grossly misleading. That is why we want to establish causality. And the only way to establish causality is with marketing modeling. That's why we are doing it. We want to understand what really goes on. And let's go to the exciting part directly. For the data freaks in the room, you can have some correlations, an autocorrelation function, partial auto. I don't want to bore you with that. If you're interested, please come over. I think our stand is somewhere over there. We can show you that in great detail, but let's now get to the more exciting part. Let's do the modeling. So we model volume sales. We use the whole time period for that, so we could distract it. We use all the variables. We have the months in. Don't mind the bloody German month expressions. That's just because I'm running a German operating system. If you have a Czech or English one, it will have the proper names on that. And in contrast to a traditional marketing mix modeling project where you have some very smart people, usually PhD level mathematicians, statisticians, and they use SPSS or SAS or any statistical package of choice, they will have a few tries to get a good model. 1, 2, 4, 5, whatever. I always ask the experts and say, what was the maximum amount of trials you had for a single project? And the record holder is a lady, and she said 50. I tried 50 times. It did take me 3 months, and we get something at the end, but it really was a pain, so 50. Okay? We are doing a different approach. We are using a genetic algorithm. I understand you heard a little bit about algorithm in the speech before me. And we're going to see, hopefully, some 15, 20,000 models a minute. So we really penetrate the potential modeling universe to find the best one. And here we go. Let's get it running. Yeah? And what the algorithm is doing is testing the different kind of variations and opportunities. And every blue step you're seeing is a generation, and a generation of model is 500 models. So even one generation is 10 times more, sorry, if you can't see, is 10 times more, no, you can't see, sorry, is 10 times more than the best human analyst could ever do. I walk a little bit so you can see as well. You see how the model rating is improving. The orange one part, these are the valid models. That's the ones that are mathematically, statistically correct and fulfill the logic element. That's all good. So let's see how many models we have already done. We have tested 26,000. We are testing per minute 32,000 models. And that considers all the data definition that has been going into this in the beginning, right? So those are meaningful models we are looking at. And the best model, let's have a look, and we can say stop in a second. That's the best model. And as I stop now, we have done 75 generations already, so a suitable number. That's the model. So red is reality. This is what we want to explain. This is what we want to understand. Blue is the model, so that's the model we were able to find with the data available. And the blue bars you see in the background, these are the residuals, the difference between the model and reality. If you sometimes see a model that has no residuals, it's a fake, okay? But what we want to see is a random pattern in these residuals, and that should look good. Yes, it does look good. And actually, in the lower table, you already get the answer to question number 1. What has a significant impact on the development we are looking at here? And it is the price. No surprise here. Price is always important, as we know. And then it's a rebrand project, and there's TV, radio, online. Fine. This is a traffic light system. If it doesn't work, it's getting amber. If it doesn't work at all, it's getting red, so all good over here. For the statistical experts, we are not only looking at the R-squared measure, which is the measure of fitness. So in this case, we are explaining, let me have a look, 94% of the given variation. That's a solid number. Yeah? So we're quite confident it is what it is. Now, coming to the more business-minded results, we want to understand question number 2. What of those activities is having a major impact, a medium impact, and a minor impact? Okay, guys, here we are. So here we can see TV is not dead, at least not in this case. It's still delivering, and it's delivering massively. Actually, it's the best driver. It's even better than price. Okay? And then there's online, so also important. Then the price, then there's replay, and then there's radio. Radio will be interesting. You will see in a minute. Okay? And here you have the numbers in black and white. Here you have the absolute ones, the shares, so that's all good over here. If someone loves waterfall charts, we can have waterfall charts. In this chart, we don't have competition data in this case, just to make it more compact. If you have competition data in, and competition is kind of having a significant impact, then you would see how competition is eating into what you are creating with your own activities. An important factor to see, we had an example in Germany where the overall result was just so-and-so, and senior management, the CEO said, that's not good enough, we want to have 15% growth, marketing, do something, fire the agency, do a new campaign, whatever, just make it better. But the problem was the marketing activities actually delivered, but what senior management conveniently ignored was that a major competitor had a huge distribution build-up in the same time, and actually that was the cause. And this chart actually helped to make sure the attention was shifted to the correct area. So that can be a campaign-saving chart, I would say. Here's the brand painting. So here we see how that develops over time. So here we have TV effect, for example. That's the price effect. We can drill down. Let's stick with TV for a second. Here we have our activities. You remember the flights, the weekly flights on the lower chart, and the area is the contribution generated by TV, including the carryover effect, okay? So carryover is also a modeling result. I think it was too quick over here, show you here. So here the TV has a carryover of 57, 58% roughly. That means from 100 GRPs in week 1, 58 are still effective in week 2. Very important, especially if you plan media. Okay, brand painting. Let's have a look. So we understand how TV is structured, and if we speak about optimization, if there's any opportunity for optimization, what we want to do is we take the same number of GRPs and try to redistribute them in a way so we can optimize the yellow area of the contribution. So with the same amount of money, just by using the insights delivered by the modeling, getting a better contribution. And if that's possible, this is what the response curve will be showing us. I don't know how many of you are familiar with response curves. If you're not, don't worry, it's actually straightforward. So on the lower end, you have your weekly GRP levels. So we have weeks with 0 GRPs, and then some interim weeks, and then we have 2 flight strike rates, basically. We have a range between 60 and, by the way, this is 82, and we have something between 120 and 140. Now, we know TV is our biggest driver, it's already great, but what's the proper GRP level? If you are into TV planning, that would be an interesting question. Is it 80, 100, 120, 140? We could do a quiz if we have time, but we haven't, so I give you the answer straight away, because we can overlay the response curve with this green line, which is actually the profit curve delivered by TV. And you see the point where the green line peaks. That's the point where you maximize the profit from TV. And then from this point onwards, you build your market share profitably until this point. This is where the marginal return is 1. So for 1 invested Czech crown in TV, you get 1 back. And then if you proceed, going to the right, you are investing in market share. And now every one of those 3 scenarios could be perfectly right. It depends what you want to achieve, okay? So if we say we want to optimize profitability, then certainly, at least in the long term, these levels don't make sense. Yeah, because we invest more than we get back. Very straightforward, not a miracle. I think everyone can understand that, if you see it. Okay, I've promised you something. Let's get away with that. On radio was very minor, and here's the reason why. Because we have a crossover spending of radio per active week. You know why? Because on average, the dotted line here is the average, by the way, we have 63 GRPs per week. That's this line. And if we take out 2/3 of that, or 1/3 of that, let's say we are in the range over here, we basically save a lot of money and don't lose any significant volume. And with the same amount of radio money, we can do 3 times as many radio weeks on a more effective level, and by doing so, tripling the radio contribution. So if you get the old-fashioned radio to work, be happy. Now, all the digital guys, don't be disappointed. Here is digital growing like hell. We display a profit curve also growing. So yes, we can do more digital. And now we can even compare those response curves. And it probably wouldn't be a good idea to slash 1/3 of the TV budget and invest it in online, because the blue line, that's TV, that's still carrying the show. And online is growing very well here. So that's online and that's radio. The interesting bit starts now, because on average, for every Czech crown invested in TV, you get 1.79 back. Good, very good. But for the last one, the marginal return, it's just 0.74. So even with our biggest and most successful driver, we can do an optimization, and as you can see, the optimization is probably more than 10 index points. That's real money, ladies and gentlemen. That's not peanuts. Compare that to radio. So the radio contribution is minimal. It's just 0.71, but radio is cheap. So if we look at the average return, radio is even better than TV, because it's so cheap. But the marginal return really sucks. It's just 0.12. That's totally unacceptable. We can change that easily. We just redo our radio planning, and we'll be fine. And finally, we can look at online, where on average, we have the very best result. For 1 Czech crown, we get 5.18 back. For the last one, I think it's, yes, 3.44. Very clear. And then we can illustrate those results. That's the average profit ROI. Here's the marginal profit ROI. If someone loves bubble charts, you can have bubble charts. With those tables, I can tell you, I have seen very senior CFOs of very blue chip companies. They saw this, they were suddenly smiling and said, "That's the first day in my entire professional career I suddenly understand what the bloody marketing guys are talking about, because I'm seeing it in some way I can actually relate to, I can understand, and I can understand if I give them $1 million extra, what they would do with it and what we can expect as an outtake." Okay? And this is how we see you should be able to do that, and you should be able to do that on an ongoing basis. It's no good to do it just every 3 years, because the world is changing quickly. So actually you have to do it on an ongoing basis. If you would commission that to any classic consultant, you name it, McKinsey, Accenture, whatever consultant of choice you have, that would cost a fortune and would never fly in this part of the world. We know there's a very blue chip FMCG client who spends about $20 million US a year on modeling across Europe. Guess how many projects the Czech market gets from the 20 million? 1. So 1 brand is covered, and they have a broad portfolio, so they have 15 or so major brands. So that doesn't work. The old-fashioned approach doesn't work anymore. You need to be able to do that on an ongoing basis. You need to be able to do it also in a market like the Czech Republic. You have to prove why you are investing money, why marketing is great, what you are delivering. All other departments in the company can deliver return on investment. If only marketing stands there and say, "Well, give us more, it will be fine. Look into my beautiful brown eyes, we'll tell you it will be good." That will not be a discussion that really flies, or it will be successful. You need to be able to prove, like the other departments in your corporation, what you can do with the money. Here's the technology that helps you with that. And as I said, I'm finished in 30 seconds. And as I said, that's just the start of the journey, because now we could do the planning, the plan scenarios, the optimization, and really see what we could do with these results. I hope I was able to stimulate you a little bit. I hope you found it interesting. If you know more, just come over, ask Petra or me. We are here for the whole day. Thanks a lot, and enjoy the conference. Thanks.